Welcome to Chicago.
SportstownChicago.com.
O'Hare.
Broadcasting live from Sportstown, Chicago.
Broadcast home for your Windy City Bulls and Chicago Dogs.
We're in a league of our own. Now, here's your SportstownChicago.com update.
At 8:31, I'm Matt Donlee with your SportstownChicago.com update brought to you by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career, with a Frank Nazar goal in the first, the Canadians scored 20 seconds into the third, then added their third at the 10-minute mark. Spencer Knight is 27 of 30 in saves as the Hawks look to avoid their fourth straight loss. Rams lead the Seahawks 13-7 at a 2-minute warning in the second. Opening the scoring in the first was Zach Charbonnet with a 4-yard rushing touchdown. And following 2 field goals for the Rams, Matt Stafford connected with Terrence Ferguson for a 3-yard touchdown reception. Ahead of their rematch with the Packers Saturday night, the Bears announced that wide receivers Rome Odunze and Luther Burden are officially out for the game, as Odunze is sidelined with a foot injury and Burden is out with an ankle injury. DeAndre Swift and Cole Kmet are listed as questionable on the injury report. In Major League Baseball free agency, the Cubs signed first baseman Tyler Austin on a 1-year deal. Austin spent the last 5 seasons with the Yokohama Bay Stars in Japan. Earlier today, former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his family were among 7 people who died in a plane crash in Statesville, North Carolina. Biffle was a Hall of Fame nominee for the stock car after an 18-year career. Biffle was 55 years old. Former Ohio head coach Brian Smith, who was fired Wednesday, allegedly had a romantic relationship with a student, as well as being publicly intoxicated. These allegations come after Ohio University cited serious professional misconduct and serious professional misconduct. Following their 127-111 win last night against the Cavs, the Bulls traveled to Cleveland tonight for a rematch with the Cavs tomorrow night. After last night's game, head coach Billy Donovan had this to say about the team's performance.
Yeah, I give our guys credit. Like I've said before, I think there was certainly enough in our locker room, to play better than we were playing, but when you get bodies back, that always helps.
Tomorrow's game is at 6:30 on Chicago Sports Network. This has been your SportstownChicago.com update brought to you by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com.
And you will respect my authority.
And now, it's time for the Matt and Lee Sports Talk Show.
And at 8:34, I am Lee Sanders with your SportstownChicago.com sports update.
Lee, I just did that. Welcome. In early, we got everything good. We got the top of the hour update down there, and I hope you enjoyed it as we broke some news about what was going on with the Ohio head coach there. But we're on to it. We are on to our show here, and we welcome everybody in. Thank you very much to all of our loyal supporters for tuning in with us today. We got a great show ahead today. We have our college basketball talk. We're going to be talking about local recruiting in the Chicagoland area and why it seems that some schools cannot seem to keep local talent here. We're also going to be talking about who could fill that head coaching position at the University of Michigan. And then we are going to end with some Bears talk here. We got our friends here together.
Hey, we're back.
I'm here with Lee, here with Adam, and here with Andrew. So, boys, go ahead. We'll start with Adam, and we'll go around the table. Let the people know where they can find you on social media.
Well, they can find me on social media on Instagram at slim_SHNADY. That is slim_Schnady.
All right, guys, you can find me at Facebook at my name, Andrew Scheid. On Instagram at @TrippyMighty. You can also find me Monday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. on WRMN Radio, 1410 a.m. on Big Top Sports with your host, Derek Geyer.
Lee, where can the people find you?
Hey, it's Lee. You can find me at BROGEODI on all platforms. You can also, of course, find us at Chicago Sports Town. Me and Matt got the Donlee Sports Talk Show. thank you once again, Matt, for bringing us in and getting us back central. Of course,
yeah,
gotta apologize, everybody. You know,
I was about to say,
we were coming in hot, man.
Great way to open the show, though.
We were coming in hot. Batman rhymes with Batman for a reason, right? And I'm playing Robin crucially today. Okay, so it's supposed to be my lead. I'm going to go ahead and take it from here, right? We're going college basketball for the fellas, and definitely that was a big topic that me and Matt talked about. Adam, Drew, you know, we spoke on it on post show yesterday.
right.
Just wondering, kind of like, you know, when it comes to a lot of gritty players out of Chicago or just great talented players in general, we always see them kind of sometimes leave home. You know what I mean? And so to speak, going just spread their wings elsewhere, so to speak.
Right.
So we're wondering exactly, right, when it comes down to colleges like DePaul, you know what I mean? Even, you know, before getting to the Illini and the Northwestern, right, when you got the UICs and et cetera, always been very competitive, you know, leagues, very competitive camps. I'm wondering why. What do you think it is besides just, you know, NIL? What would it be? Got
Yeah, absolutely.
ahead,
If you look at like a lot of these big programs like Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, again, like I can keep going on with the list, but you also got the Fighting Illini as well. But do you like, can DePaul provide those resources, kind of including with the NIL? I know you said, you know, aside from the NIL, but that's a huge, you know, big portion of it.
They're in the Big East. I mean, I don't think there's any. If schools are going to come on here and talk about how, you know, hey, we don't have the resources, we're just a small little private school in Chicago. Well, you know, you're in the same conference as UConn. You're in the same conference as Marquette. You're in the same conference as a lot of St. John's, right? St. John's is a small little private school in New York, and look at them, right?
But they're able to build that basketball program up. Where has DePaul been for the last, you know, couple of decades? They've been kind of irrelevant, or at the bottom of the dumpster of the Big East. And if you're also looking in the Big East, yeah, you're going to be looking at UConn, Marquette, heck, even Creighton. So if you're looking at DePaul, in terms of just these Big East schools, they're not going to be providing those resources as much as these other schools are.
But, you know, that's the thing. That's all the more reason to recruit local kids and say, hey, look, you can go to a mid-major. You can go to the Horizon League or something like that. I'm not saying you're going to get the Jabari Parkers and the Derrick Roses and the Anthony Davises. You're not going to get them. They're going to go to Duke. They're going to go to UNC. They're going to go, you know, to the big blue bloods.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, look, I mean, you want to make a name for yourself. Hey, look, we're DePaul, and we might not be that good, but look, you're good enough to play for us. And guess what? We can guarantee at least once a year you're going to be playing UConn. You're going to be playing St. John's. And who knows, if we're good, you're going to be a nationally televised product.
And here's a question, and that's actually an interesting point. But what does "you're good enough" mean? And look at DePaul's record.
That's true. I mean, yeah, DePaul's record hasn't always been great. I mean, they lost every single conference game 2 years ago, and so that kind of speaks to the point that I don't think it's necessarily a talent issue. Because I think if you're able to go to a Big East level school, I don't think there's a talent deficit. They're not getting kids that are supposed to be going to, with all due respect to my alma mater, they're not getting guys who are supposed to be going to Illinois State, right? Illinois State recruits those mid-major guys that fill out their profiles there. They're getting guys who can compete at higher level D1 talent. I think it's more than likely a coaching issue, and it's more than likely a culture issue with the fact that when you look at some of these schools, for the longest time, I know that they're playing in the city now, but for the longest time, DePaul played at the Allstate Arena. I mean, you got a school that is in the north side of Chicago, and you're having games all the way out in Rosemont. I mean, that's got to be a detrimental factor to recruiting kids even before the NIL world.
I mean, also, you know, like you said, traveling to a home stadium, that doesn't seem like a home field. When you got, again, as I've mentioned previously, you got Michigan's, Ohio State's, Alabama's, USC's, who have stadiums on their campus. So if you're looking at it like that, it's easier to recruit. You can just travel from your dorm room if you're a freshman, just going to the basketball stadium. So
right, it's easier now that they've been playing at Wintrust in the city, so it's a little bit closer. You know, it's not right there on campus, but it's a little bit easier. But
yeah, I mean, we just got a comment on YouTube that they just said they're pretty sure that DePaul's banners are still hanging up at the Allstate Arena. So so
they haven't even transferred those yet.
No.
I mean, with all due respect to DePaul, I don't know if they're going to be, hanging anytime soon here, but that it's part of the building process. I think at a certain point you can't just say, hey, look, we are, not that great. And so what can we do? Woe is me. We got to go play Big Bad UConn. We got to go play Big Bad St. John. I don't know. I think when you've got a city like Chicago that is such a powerhouse in terms of providing basketball talent, there has to be a little bit more incentive. And we saw that with Loyola in their run, but they were underdogs. They were Cinderellas. When you're competing in the Big East, you need to provide that product. And you need to at least make your mark and say, hey, look, we can compete in this conference as well.
No, most indeed. A couple of recruits I'm looking at right now that are coming up hot on the plate. You got Marquise Clark with Whitney Young and Phoenix Gill with St. Ignatius, Alex Alston with Kenwood Academy Senior. So, you showed me actually the list of a couple of recruits on their way to Kansas State, et cetera, just trying to get around. We were looking at 247. And, obviously, like adding on to what Matt says about trying to evolve, when it comes to that competition and whatnot. I want you to add on, Andrew. Tell me what you think. Do you think that UIC is like a DePaul, so to speak? Maybe it has less or better fortune than DePaul?
I think they do have better fortunes than DePaul. I feel like they do end up playing closer games than DePaul does.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we can all agree on that fact, that they do play closer games. I feel like there's more a winning culture at UIC, even though they don't have we have all these championships, but I feel there's still that winning culture that's there at UIC. That's really not been there at DePaul for a long time, in my opinion.
No doubt. I agree with you. If we go into, a little bit more about some notable players you're looking at right now out of Chicago. Could you think of any? Maybe you want them to go somewhere. I mean, we have a rich history of this, technically speaking.
Yeah.
Fred VanVleet from Rockford, and D. Brown, Kawani Garris, right? Mm-hmm. So it happens. We're just wondering, what does it take? What do you think these teams in the inner city can do to probably make it more appealing, if anything, with the budget they're given? I should say
Close to home. One of the biggest things, you want to be close to home. You want to, play for the hometown team, be the hometown hero. They have great coaching. Kind of want to sell that as well. But at the end of the day, it's going to be kind of hard to show that if that team doesn't exactly have those things.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm going to bring back DePaul. DePaul, great educational college. They're really good. But in terms of their basketball program, can a top recruit, let's just for a 5-star, just for this example, is there a lot of reason for them to stay to show, hey, we got a culture, hey, we win games? Again, it doesn't really show. Meaning that 5-star would more than likely transfer to go to a big school to show his skills like a Duke, Kansas.
Yeah, you definitely have to work your way up in this recruiting as well. DePaul in the near future, in the next 5 years, they will not be landing 5-stars. I can promise you that. But this is the selling point. This is the pitch that I would give if I was trying to get a guy to DePaul or to UIC or even Loyola, who's struggling this year. I would say, look, I'm looking at a 3-star guy right now from Whitney Young. He's going to Tennessee. I'm looking at another 3-star guy from Lombard who's going to South Dakota. I'd say, look, guys, what's a big thing that we have here? We're a smaller school, but we still get NIL, right? We're still able to, pull from the collective. We still get money from the conference that we can pay you. There's no football team here.
And then there's one thing I want to kind of add on to that. It also depends on the donor base, the wealth of that donor base, and the alumni association themselves.
And hey, DePaul definitely has some deep pockets in terms of their graduates, and maybe they don't have a very big NIL fund right now because their sports aren't very good. If you start getting good at sports, maybe people will start to donate and want to see that continued success. So
Business 101.
Exactly. My pitch would be, hey, look, the transfer portal exists, and we're not shying away from it. Look, you're not going to Tennessee right now to start, right? Maybe you get some bench minutes, but look, Tennessee's still going to be there next year. Come start for us, play really well, and maybe if you have to string it together like that year and year at a time, but then show that you can still build and develop talent and expose kids to the rich culture that you might have there. But you got to foster, you got to make the effort, and you can't be complacent with saying, yeah, this is just our place in the bottom of the Big East.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great point. And also, you know, an interesting example. Again, I'll bring up Alabama. I mentioned it just before the show started. You have recruits going to a town, very small town. Tuscaloosa is about 200,000 strong. But if we're looking at Chicago, I mean, Chicago, right? You would think, you know, bigger market, more exposure. That's not always the case, especially since DePaul has been a school that has not had a good basketball team for a long time in a big market town. Now, Tuscaloosa, with Alabama's basketball team with Nate Oates, they got a winning culture. You got football team, you got the basketball team, and Nate Oates can show, hey, come over here. You can showcase your talent in the SEC as one of the top basketball schools.
What do you think, Lee?
No, totally. You know, and I don't think it's too bad out when it comes to these inner city teams as well. I do look up and see a lot of teams actually coming from out of town, of course, and filling it up here. I mean, they got to fill the team somehow, right? They're getting it from somewhere. So definitely, you know, maybe it's just also a pick of the litter when it comes down to people deciding where they want to be, what they want to see while they play basketball, you know, as well. That team logo looks better on, you know. Yeah.
One final point that I'll make on this topic here is a personal story, right? During my time when I worked at Kankakee High School, we hosted a holiday tournament, and I got to see this young, talented kid, 5'10", from Lindblom. His name is Deshaun Stevenson. He went to Cleveland State to start his career, and then he followed his coach to North Texas, where he's currently starting for them. In that holiday tournament, he went up with against some D1 guys. And in those games, he dropped 28 and only played the first half because I think they won by, they running clocked in the. He dropped 28 in the first game, then he dropped 40 in the next game, then he dropped 45 in the third game.
That's impressive.
He was by far the most, in my opinion, one of the most talented players in that entire showcase. And I was talking to people from Lindblom, and I was asking them, like, he's going to Cleveland. He went to Cleveland State originally. His talent and everything kind of showed me that I think he could have been a higher D1 talent. And they all told me the same thing. They said it's his size. A lot of these big programs do not want a 5'10" point guard, and I understand it. But if things aren't working for you as they currently stand, maybe you got to get a little bit creative and not be so picky and selective with some incredible talents that you have right here in your backyard that I'm sure he'd love to go to if given the opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, there's also hidden gems in some of these smaller schools. You got gems in DePaul, you got gems in Cleveland State, or even Sacramento. But again, if you're looking at the NBA too, if they're looking to go to the draft, unfortunately, and a lot of these NBA scouts are going to be looking at these Michigans, USCs, Texas, a lot of these big schools that can produce potential, big names. So it's just really unfortunate for some of these smaller schools that are losing out on some of these big potential players, especially since, again, their market isn't strong.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts here, guys?
I mean, I agree fully with what Adam said. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's anything to add to that statement.
Nice.
Good stuff, man.
I'm being truthfully honest there.
Oh, we know you are.
No, you know Adam's statement was perfect in that respect.
I really love the straightforwardness.
Right.
To the point.
It's just
so crispy, clean. I like it.
It's just unfortunate what college sports is about today.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot about the money, and it's a lot about. It's a very, very selective process in terms of personnel and everything, and I appreciate the honesty, Andrew. We love to see it. Some seats are hot. Others are radioactive. We'll discuss who might be brave enough to fill the Michigan vacancy during this troubling time when we return.
He's right there. It's the bottom of the seventh inning. The last chance to order beer. But we didn't come here to drink beer. We came here to win this ball game.
Chicago's so lucky. SportsTownChicago.com.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Pizza at your house and you can get it at the store. Uh-oh, here we go. Chicagoland area. Little Caesars is heating up for the summer. Try our new Crazy Puffs, $3.99. Walk in or delivery. 7 days a week. 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Filled with cheesy mozzarella, pepperoni, pizza sauce, buttery, garlic flavored drizzle, Italian herb and Parmesan seasoning. Deep dish Detroit style pizza, $7.99. Super cheesy bread, $5.99. Hot and ready combo, $12.99. And for your daily deals, go to LitCaesars.com. Oh, Little Caesars, with our crazy puffs and cheesy dreams, you light up my soul with your pepperoni schemes. With every slice we share, with every moment we dare in this piece of love affair. So you didn't hear that just here. You don't want to miss out on these delicious deals. Visit your Chicagoland area Little Caesars today. Cheese, cheese, cheese.
Nobody does food better than our friends south of the border. If you're looking for delicious, authentic Mexican food in Chicagoland's backyard, check out the Topos restaurant. Try their quesadillas. Burritos are my favorite, the 3-taco combo with steak and extra chipotle salsa.
Muy caliente!
They even have breakfast for early risers. Topos is the highest rated Mexican restaurant in Naperville on Yelp. Once you try it, you'll understand why. Visit toposnaperville.com for their menu, special offers, and online ordering on Grubhub. Pickup or delivery. Topos restaurant. Open nightly until 8:30, closed on Sundays, located next to the Jewel on Aurora Avenue in Naperville. Experience fresh, homemade Mexican at the Topos restaurant.
I got an affordable family-owned restaurant for you that won't cost you an arm and a lamb. It's Goodies in River Grove. My Goodies order never changes. A gyros, not a gyro. Smothered in sauce and hot fries on the side for less than $9. If I'm really starved, I'll add a chicken kebab to my order. Looking for more? Try a juicy cheeseburger, Chicago-style hot dogs, or a toasty corned beef meal. I can walk in 7 days a week, dine with my family, or call 708-583-1700. Pick it up and enjoy it at home. Can't stop in? Not a problem. Goodies delivers through Grubhub, DoorDash, and Seamless. Goodies is located at Cumberland, Belmont, River Grove. Goodies bring authentic Greek food to the Chicago.
It's the summer of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. To reach peak summer mode, you need your summer coffee, like a smooth new s'mores frozen Dunkin' coffee, a refreshing butter pecan iced coffee, or a sweet coconut cream pie cold brew. What could be better than iced frozen coffee on a hot summer day? Nothing. Dunkin' Donuts has all your favorite flavors this summer. So come enjoy the summer of coffee and keep cool out there, kids. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Looking for a great bargain? Want to find cool collectibles? Need to get fresh fruit and vegetables for the family? Come on down to Swap-O-Rama. 3 great locations, 42nd and Ashland in Chicago, Melrose Park and Ulsa, with hundreds of indoor and outdoor vendors selling clothing, tools, electronics, and much, much more. Have stuff for sale? Become a Swap-O-Rama vendor and turn your hidden treasure into cash. Visit their website for market days, hours, and vendor information. Go to swap-o-rama.com. Swap-O-Rama, the first name in flea markets.
Which what's the preparation been like for you guys? So far? You guys get ready to come into this game?
Unique and complex, obviously. Multiple levels of, complexity that our young people are dealing with, our university's dealing with, our athletic director, Ward Manuel, is dealing with, and then, our team, our coaches, and our kids. So it's, I don't know that you can prepare for something like this. It's been, I'll just say, complicated.
Biff Poggi there speaking with the Michigan Insider. Recently talking about the unique challenges, I'll say that, the very unique challenges that are currently facing Michigan University as a whole, as well as the football program. But, being the interim head coach here in this troubling time after the Sharon Moore firing there. Adam, I'm going to start with you here, and I'll get to Andrew because I know that Andrew is a supporter of Michigan. How bad is the situation currently at Michigan? Is it redeemable? What is this next head coach walking into?
I wouldn't say as much as a dumpster fire, but I would say a culture shock.
Yeah.
Only because with the incident of Sharon Moore, it kind of baffled everybody, probably the players, I'm guessing, the administrator, and the school overall.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think if you're going to look at some candidates, you're going to need to look at some Power 5 candidates in order to do a cultural reset.
Right.
And, we talked about a couple of these candidates on commercial break. One of them, from what I've heard in rumors, I don't know if this will happen, but I've heard Kyle Whittingham from Utah, a veteran head coach who has been at Utah for at least 20 years, almost 20.
He's one of the longest tenured head coaches for sure.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, 2005, I believe he started. So 20 years, which is very hard to do.
Right.
I mean, Mike Tomlin did it, but there's 3 other candidates that I talked about also on commercial break. Dillingham from Arizona State, a young head coach who brings kind of that fire with him. He's in his late 30s, early 40s. He had Leavitt as his quarterback there. I believe he had Tedora McMillan's Arizona, but he brings that culture as well. He brings a winning culture. He brought it to Arizona State, which was a team that was kind of in the dumpster fire for a while. And look where they are now. They're in a bowl game. They've been making them consistently, and they were in the playoffs last year. Yeah. So Kenny Dillingham, I think, could provide a fiery reset culture. Another one, which would be very unfortunate, is Kalen DeBoer.
For you, that would be for sure if DeBoer left Alabama for Michigan.
You might not see me for a week.
Yeah, we'd be checking in on Adam, making sure that he's okay. And Andrew, let me ask you this. Well, before we go into, diving into each of these candidates, Michigan has spoken about this idea of the Michigan man. Jim Harbaugh talked a lot about the Michigan man. Sharon Moore wanted to also kind of embody that Michigan man, and that idea has faded a little bit. The reputation of what it means to be a Michigan man has faded with the cheating scandal, and now the Moore scandal here with his assistant. And so, being a supporter of the University of Michigan, what would you like to see in the next head coach?
And going off of what Adam said, I do think Kenny Dillingham would be the best option for them. I mean, we've seen here in Chicago what a young head coach can do for a team. I mean, I think when you bring in these older guys, I don't want to say necessarily they're stuck in their ways, but they don't really want to try anything new. Right? They just want to stick with what got them to where they are and have that be that. But I feel like when you bring in a young head coach who hasn't been doing it for 20, 40 years, there's a lot more in their head of, let me try this. Let me see how this is going to work. So I really think bringing in that young head coach would be a good move for Michigan. And I think Bryce Underwood being under center with a young head coach, I think it would be a good fit for him.
That could be fun. That could be like a revamped Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson here. Lee, let me ask you this. What does it mean to you with all that Michigan's been through over the past few years? What are they going to need to do in terms of the character? I know we've been talking a lot about ball here, but what kind of character does the next head coach need to do in order to remove any resemblance of that cheating or scandalous culture that's kind of been built over the past 5 years here at Michigan?
Oh, man. It definitely takes a lot of polishing, right? Just coming off of everything's already been routed up big time with COVID-19. So obviously after that, it was so much when it comes to management and reconstruction that's the last thing you need is some type of snippet or, scandal in the making. So I say that to say that job availability is pretty scarce. That's one of the biggest things. You want to look for somebody who's capable, somebody who's worthy of the integrity it takes running the job, so to speak, and has the same cultural standards or traditional feel for the sport, if not the team, as past predecessors, or maybe more than past predecessors at this point. You probably want them to be better. So it just also depends on what's the main gear, I should say. Winning is obviously in their history. They did just win the Big Ten championship in 2022.
They won the Natty in 23.
Yeah, I was about to say national championship in 2023.
Yeah, and are still currently ranked in the AP Top 25. So, that's not really too big of an issue when it comes to staying competitive in the field. I think that they definitely just want to get somebody maybe that kind of has closer roots to their tradition or their best interest in mind with what they need to do better moving forward.
And I ask you that, Lee, to set up my question here with Adam. You brought up some fantastic candidates. Mm-hmm. I think this situation's a little bit trickier because in a traditional coaching hire, you can look at this and say, okay, who do we need for the scheme? What scheme or what side of the ball do we need the most help with? What kind of recruiting can we get out of this guy? It's different now. Not only do you need those, you almost need a squeaky clean type of personality, because Harbaugh was great. Look at what happened. Now everybody's putting the asterisk next to your natty. Mm-hmm. Sharon Moore, nobody wants to go through that. Nobody wants that tied to their university ever. And who would have thought? We were all surprised when we heard that. And so it sounds to me like on the inside at Michigan, they'd known for a little while about this, and they kind of knew what they were dealing with that. But taking some of your coaching considerations into account, those names that you offered, do you think could fit the character mold that Michigan needs most?
When it comes to development, I would say Kalen DeBoer, not out of bias, but Washington. He took a team that would just make bowl games at a 7-5, 8-4 to going to the national title and end up ultimately losing to Michigan. But it shows his character and his development schemes, especially on the offense, that provides that necessary depth going forward, as well as look what he's done with Alabama. He went 9-3 his first year, and then he ended up going 10-3 the second year, making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, from what I've heard, also it takes him 3 years to make it and win some, either make it to the national title or win the national title. And in this case, it took him a couple of years in Washington. But again, it just kind of proves my point that his development will make players take that next step and could potentially ultimately win the national championship at Michigan if and only if he leaves Alabama, because it's a good job he has right now.
It is, yeah. And I don't know if a guy in a situation like that where he's made the playoffs, and again with DeBoer here as a model of building that success with a program. A lot of people were a little upset early that he missed the playoffs last year, but then making it this year kind of by the skin of your teeth a little bit. But hey, you're in, right?
Yeah.
And so that's all that matters. I don't think too many people are all that upset. Again, once he brings some of his guys in, that's good. But at the same time, like you said earlier, I don't necessarily want to call it a dumpster fire because everything is still, the infrastructure is still in place in Michigan. And no, go ahead, Adam.
I interrupted. I apologize, but with I said like culture shock more or less only because of what's happened recently. So trying to find someone to kind of not cover it up, but kind of build over that and to provide that winning culture again, like what happened with Harbaugh when he won in 2023, even though, you had Connor Stallions and all that whole thing with him going to Central Michigan, which I still don't know why you had to go to Central Michigan to get Michigan to steal signs when that's an easy game to win. The point is, you also got Kenny Dillingham, who I believe in terms of development, he's with it with the modern college football. And with modern college football, you got to adapt to NIL, how offenses have changed, how defenses have changed. And you look at Clemson with Dabo Swinney, he's stuck in the old ways of what college football used to be 10, 15 years ago. And you don't want that. You need a coach. And that's why I bring up Kenny Dillingham, because he will keep up with that modern day culture of college football. And also Nick sent a comment saying he would put a censor bar over us for every time we use culture.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's Michigan, though. That is a very hot topic. Sorry to say it again, the culture needs to change. Andrew, what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm still on it with the young head coach, Kenny Dillingham. I mean, I know everyone's like, oh, you want experience and all that. But, I mean, this guy's 35 years old. I'm 25. So, just to put that in perspective, when I was born, this guy, Kenny Dillingham was only 10 years old. So, it shows you the kind of guys that are coming into these coaching jobs. And it shows that you don't need to be a Pete Carroll or a Bill Belichick to coach in the, football, either college or pro level. So, I mean, I honestly, being a Michigan fan, they haven't really been good since the days of J.J. McCarthy and Jim Harbaugh. Let's just be honest.
And Colson Loveland.
And Colson Loveland. Yeah, thank you. The Michigan product that I actually almost forgot about there, so thank you.
Of course.
But, yeah, I mean, I think it's just Michigan is in a really big rebuilding phase, and Morta was not the answer at head coach. But I really do honestly think Bryce Underwood is the answer at quarterback, so you just need to find the right head coach to pair with him. And I do think Kenny Dillingham is that man.
I just wanted to add just one real quick note. A big question, actually. Will Kenny Dillingham leave his alma mater for a school? Because alumni who have a job at their alma mater, that's their dream job. would they be willing to leave their dream job to go to a bigger school, even though they love what they have right now?
I think for me, that all would depend on your own mentality and how you want to play it. Like, honestly, if I were offered a job from my high school to, coach the track team or coach the bowling team, and all of a sudden I get offered a job, to coach at some college level or that, my personality, I'm going to stay at my alma mater. But not everyone else is going to have that same mentality of staying at the school that got me to where I am, technically. But I wouldn't make that decision. I would stay at my alma mater. I don't know what Kenny Dillingham would do. I mean, it's to each his own in that respect, if you want my opinion.
I feel like if Michigan really wanted them, they would give them a blank check and say, we want you. Come on over. We can outbid Arizona State. He's got a wife and a kid, and he's probably got a young family on the way. So maybe the money could be roping him in, like you were suggesting there, Adam. But at the end of the day, I agree. It all comes down to the personal bases and beliefs and opinions that he holds to himself, and what he's wanted to be the Arizona State head coach since he was very young. So, he's gotten his dream job, but also at 35 years old, who knows how long he'll stay. And Lee, that's what I wanted to ask you about here is if you're Michigan right now, you want a guy to stick around for the long haul, right? So do you think it's smarter to go with a younger coach that is still in that building, still might have to bring him up, and you might have to sacrifice a couple years of success in order for him to get to that point with his group there? Or are you going to bring in a more veteran coach, maybe from the NFL even, that's a little bit older that can take over and maybe do an overnight shift, but he might not be there as long?
I think that they bank on the youth for sure, because most teams want to go for good investments and longevity. So I think that they know Kenny is probably somebody that has the energy, high energy for this job, offensive mindset. He's a straight shooting personality. I think that they'll roll with him. He did turn around Arizona to a playoff contending team, so that is worth something. The program wasn't worth spit at first. I think that it is mentionable, at least not at the moment. Excuse me.
You also have the example of Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss. I know that's old, but in terms of personal preference, what I mentioned earlier, money has a lot to do with it, and money talks. And look how much he got paid, $91 million, 7-year deal.
Yeah, so I mean, Big 12 Coach of the Year. You know what I'm saying? Give him a shot right now.
Yeah.
I know, and I honestly think when you are a coach that could take a struggling program like Dillingham has taken his own mater and really turned it around, schools that are looking to rebuild are going to see that. No, I want to pluck that head coach to help us rebuild. I mean, so that's always going to be a thing when you do a good job as a head coach. You're always going to be looked at by other schools to say, hey, can you come do that for us?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
And also, here's the other big thing, resources. Which school has the biggest resources? And I'm sure Kenny Dillingham is looking at this as well. It's like, I'm very loyal to my school that I graduated from, and I'm working with now to improve this football team. On the other hand, you have Michigan, who might be looking at you and saying, hey, we got the NIL funds. We got Dave Portnoy. We got the whole 9 yards. We can give you funds for 5 stars all across the board, wherever and however. So there is definitely something to weigh here. It's going to be a difficult decision, whatever he chooses.
And what I want to say in terms of what's Michigan's future going forward, and I'm sorry, Andrew, this might be a little
go ahead, Matt. You're okay.
We're going into the way that we're talking about it is good, I think. However, I think we're also kind of talking about it as if we were to go out fishing and just kind of expect that we're going to go out and get the large bluefin tuna. Right? You're not always going to get that, especially this late in the process. When you look at all of the coaching vacancies and what has already been filled, so many of these, the window is closed. This happened at one of the worst times possible for Michigan because coaches are already filling these spots left and right. Now you're looking around and you're like, well, who's left? Who's left can we get? And now we have to think about, well, what about DeBoer? What about Woody? But these guys, Dillingham's under contract until 2030. And so you can't just always go into it and be like, hey, we're going to throw the checkbook at you, especially when the university itself is now investigating the athletic department. I don't think they're on the best of terms right now, the athletics and the university. So I think that going forward for Michigan, if they can stay above water and be an 8-4 team over the next couple of years until they can really figure it out, until somebody can maybe open up next year, I think that's their best chance of success. And work with Bryce Underwood, and hopefully by his third year, they can get to a point where they're a little bit better. But I just don't know if it's realistic right now to expect Michigan to find somebody and then also compete next year.
I've also mentioned, too, that with the resources as well as what's going on right now, Bryce Underwood could leave. Now, again, that depends on the head coach potentially that they hire, and if they can get Dillingham, DeBoer, or even potentially Jed Fish, who's the current head coach at Washington. All of them have a good resume. Washington, I believe, won against Boise State 38-10, which is a dominant win, but against a Group of 5 school, and you got a Big 10 school, you kind of expect that to be a blowout.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you want to see your new head coach see if he could, beat out those big schools. Can he, provide the blowouts even to the smaller schools? Because if it's still a tight game between a small school and a big school, which happens all the time, but if it's consistently like that kind of shows like, hey, maybe we could have hired someone better. Maybe you weren't as good as we thought, or this could have been a dud. There's a lot of different ways to look at it like that.
No. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just looking here because you guys were talking about, his contract up at Arizona State. And I was just reading here from the athletic director up at Arizona State talking about the exact issue on his contract. And he's basically saying he's not entertaining talks about, his contract being extended the way it is. He says, I'm happy to talk about the leadership in our program, and that he agrees that Kenny Dillingham is the right leader for their program.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's going to leave anytime soon. And also, getting back to that Bryce Underwood thing, his $12 million NIL, that might be enough to keep him, even if they are working with a subpar coach. I don't know what that NIL deal would look like if he was to transfer, but I definitely think that might play into consideration with him wanting to stay.
Also, you got to consider buyouts. How much money will you have to spend to buy out a player or a coach? That's going to take a hit, especially on the NIL, the cap, a lot of these alumni who spent their money to get this coach. You don't want to be in a spot where you're penalizing yourself by buying out a coach, because that could be a detriment. I mean, look at you have a few examples, but I can't think of some at the top of my head at this exact moment. But the point stands, when you got some of these big coaches, or you got Billy Napier, who they bought out when they fired him, you spend that money, and it has a bit of some casualties to it.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see what ends up working out for Michigan. I know that they've got some culture rebuilding to do here over the next year or so, but I'm sure they'll find the right Michigan man to do it. Andrew, what do we got?
The Bears moving on from Chicago. Matt Lee Adam and I will be talking the Bears' new stadium plans when we come back.
This is your home for sports.
This is the best fans in the world.
No better team. SportsTownChicago.com.
Are you ready for this? Valley View Automotive has all of the hottest SUVs you've been looking for. Enjoy a test drive and the opportunity to drive one of these powerful vehicles off the lot for half the price. Yes, half the price. Now's the time to get yourself to Valley View by car, on foot, or even by air to take advantage of this outrageous sale. You better get here quickly, because this promotion is only going on for 24 hours, and the automobiles are leaving the lot faster than you can say four-wheel drive. Valley View Automotive, a dealership you can depend on.
Hey, I'm Andy Griggs, asking you to help prevent domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't a woman's issue. It hurts all of us. Women are injured and killed every day by their husbands and boyfriends. So it's time for men to take action right now to teach boys that violence against women is wrong, to help prevent abuse before it starts. Call the Family Violence Prevention Fund at 1-800-END-ABUSE to get a free Take Action kit containing tips on what to say to boys. That's 1-800-END-ABUSE. Teach early.
Indeed is the #1 job search user with over 250 million monthly users. Indeed's priority is to help everyone in the job searching process to find a job by uploading 10 new job opportunities every 10 seconds worldwide. With Indeed, you have free access to job searches, resume uploads, and company researches. There are over 10,000 employees at Indeed that pursue to help people find the job they are looking for. They connect with millions of people to new opportunities. Go to Indeed.com and sign up for free and create a resume and let Indeed do the rest to help you on your job search.
Hey, I'm Jesus Mauricio. Be sure to tune in every Friday to listen to Zeus Off the Bat, a baseball talk show from 1 to 2 p.m. where I'll be discussing and updating you on all things about baseball. News, predictions, reactions, and more about the Cubs, Sox, and everything across the league. Happens every Friday at 1 p.m. right here on SportsTownChicago.com. Don't forget to follow and share our Twitter and Instagram with your friends at Zeus Off the Bat. Zeus Off the Bat!
I sound a little cocky, but I think we're legends in Chicago. We really are.
SportsTownChicago.com.
We're all looking to save $1 these days, right? Well, Pino's Old Man is the perfect spot for pizza lovers with the $10 under menu that'll make your taste buds and your wallet happy. Fried chicken sandwiches. It's so good I have to start working there just to eat it every day. That's not all. Grab 2 large one-topping pizzas with extra cheesy goodness and a 2-liter soda for just $26.30. Plus, order online and get 5% off exclusive deals. Family owned and operated for 30 years. Open 7 days a week and until 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Check them out on the corner of North Main and Willoughby. Pino's on Main.
Oh my God, I need some Pookie's crack cake. Pookie's crack cakes.
Yeah, girl. You ain't never heard about the best crack cakes in Chicago?
They're right there in the Bronzeville area, right at 105 East 47th Street.
They're moist, delicious, premium homemade cakes made fresh daily. One bite and you're addicted.
They got the caramel cake, butter pecan praline, and red velvet. Ooh, and don't forget the strawberry lemonade and a chocolate Oreo dream. They're open Wednesday through Saturdays, 11 to 6 p.m. Sundays, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and they're closed Mondays and Tuesdays.
Early arrival is highly recommended. First come, first serve. They give out tickets at 10 a.m.
Just mention you heard it right here on Real Girl Talk Radio and you'll get a free butter cookie with your purchase. Make sure you follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Pookie's Crack Cakes.
Girl, where you going?
I gotta go get my crack cake.
Let's go.
Looking for a great bargain? Want to find cool collectibles? Need to get fresh fruit and vegetables for the family? Come on down to Swamporama. 3 great locations, 42nd and Ashland in Chicago, Melrose Park, and Alpha, with hundreds of indoor and outdoor vendors selling clothing, tools, electronics, and much, much more. Have stuff for sale? Become a Swamporama vendor and turn your hidden treasure into cash. Visit their website for market days, hours, and vendor information. Go to swap-o-rama.com. Swamporama, the first leg in flea markets.
There's only one place to watch your favorite sports team and have mouth-watering pizza. Come on down to Moretti's Pizzeria, where you can get a pizza for half the price every Tuesday. Try out our delicious varieties of pizza, sandwiches, and much more. I don't know about you, but a gooey mac and cheese pizza with a size of cheesy mozzarella sticks and watching sports sounds like paradise to me. Stop by at one of our 12 locations near you. We're open 7 days a week, anywhere from 10:30 a.m. to midnight. Visit our website, Moretti'sRestaurants.com, for delivery, catering, and even private parties. Moretti's, we bring the fun.
Get money for that old car sitting in your driveway today. No more insurance payments. No more playing taxi for your friends and your family. More room in your garage with Winning Auto Wrecker. Winning Auto Wrecker comes directly to you and takes that problem car away and off your hands. Call anytime, day or night at 888-555-0910 or go to winningautorex.com and we will take that junk off your hands in no time. You win, we win with Winning Auto Wreckers.
Back to your home for sports.
Here's your SportsTownChicago.com
Scoreboard update. At 8:43, I'm Lee Sanders with your SportsTownChicago.com scoreboard update, powered by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com. Bear down on funds. Bears president Kevin Warren announced that the team is currently exploring sites in Northwest Indiana in hopes of finding a venue for the new stadium. This is due to funding disagreements in Illinois surrounding a suburban Arlington Heights project. With years of planning and land already purchased, Illinois Governor Pritzker has expressed displeasure, being that he wants the team to stay, however faces political hurdles with public funding for the private project.
An earlier plan for a lakefront stadium near Soldier Field was met with opposition from groups like Friends of the Parks, adding complexity to it. NBA today, Pacers lead Knicks 97-94 with 10:05 remaining in the fourth quarter. Andrew Nimbar leads all scorers with 26 points, 3 assists, and 1 rebound in 35 minutes thus far, while Jalen Brunson is second up, leading the Knicks with 20 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in 27 minutes. Mikal Bridges is Robin to Brunson's Batman with 18 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in 29 minutes, and Benedict Mathurin fits the role for Nimbar with 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Live at the Spectrum Center, Hornets lead the Hawks 122-116 with 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Brandon Miller leads the way for the Hornets with 24 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds in 34 minutes, while Jalen Johnson leads the Hawks in all scores with 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists, flirting with a triple-double in 39 minutes. Nikhil Alexander-Walker is behind, helping bear the load with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. OKC currently holds a 7-point lead at the 70-62 at the Paycom Center. Kawhi Leonard leads for the Clippers with 14 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. And for Thunder, Chet Holmgren leads with 18 points, 4 rebounds, in 17 minutes. So that's your ChicagoSportsTown.com scoreboard update. Powered by the Illinois Media School. If interested in the career in media, go to beonair.com.
Now the third place that Kevin Warren has identified as somewhere where the Bears could build a new home. He was hired to make a deal, and he can't strike one. Politicians involved in the legislative process that have similar reaction to what this represents to them. And what it represents to them is a leverage play. He was hired 3 years ago to make a deal, and it's not going anywhere fast. If I am a McCaskey, if I'm on the board of the Chicago Bears, I'm asking for some very difficult questions about why he is doing all that he is doing. Time is money, and they're wasting both.
That credit goes to 670 The Score, the Mullion Hall Show. Well, since we're back, I think we're going to talk about a little bit of this Bears in the stadium problem, plan, whatever you want to call it. That's got my blood boiling for the past 48 minutes.
Got all of our blood boiling.
He took a corn with his blood. I think that's really what it's done to the whole city of Chicago. This whole letter, it's been out for a day, but I think it's really pissed off the city of Chicago. I know it's pissed me off. And I know they're looking at Northwest Indiana, and more importantly, they're looking at Gary, Indiana, as a home for the Bears.
I think Haas said it very well.
I was going to say, Matt,
it's leverage.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's leverage all the way. You know, when the city of Chicago is refusing to give money, and J.B. Pritzker in Illinois are refusing to give money and support, and even saying, hey, look, you got to go out and you got to provide all this infrastructure for it as well. I think that's the Bears' way of saying, well, you know, we weren't thinking about Northwest Indiana, but now maybe we are, because if you're going to be like this within the state, it adds complexity, but at the same time, it kind of seems like a stall tactic. You know, at this point, when we're this far along in the development of the new stadium, how long have we been talking about this new stadium? And now it's like, well, we could also go somewhere else that we have never mentioned before. It's like, when are we going to get this done? This needs to get underway, because if somebody claims to care about the fans and the loyal supporters and the people of Chicago, you can't keep hanging this over our head forever.
Big time.
I mean, and that's a good point to make, Matt. I honestly do think it's a leverage situation. I mean, first they were talking about a new lakefront stadium, then they went to Arlington Park, and now it's Northwest Indiana. Adam, your thoughts on this whole thing? Because we've been talking about it all day.
It's been talked about actually for years.
Yeah.
Because the current Soldier Field is not exactly the best stadium in the country. It's the smallest and the oldest NFL stadium currently to date. You got 60,000 seats, which isn't enough for how big this fan base really is. I mean, we got the four of us. Yeah. But at the same time,
I've never been to a Bears game because of how expensive it is.
I'm in Matt's boat right there, you know.
The Bears game, the atmosphere is so electric. It is so much fun. And then you get a couple of the fans who say, other things that I cannot say on air.
Right.
But
right.
With this stadium, if we're looking at Gary, Indiana, that's not exactly the best market. I'll just put it lightly. It's not the best market. And Arlington Heights makes sense because if we're looking at like the local community as a whole, it'd make the commute so much better because as we all know, public transportation is a big need also in Chicago, but also for the fans who are looking to go to the stadium by train, by bus, and look at the traffic.
Right, how about it? Let's get down to the basics of it.
Lee?
Yeah, for real. Let's get down to it because JB Pritzker called it a slap in the face. Like y'all mentioned with loyal fans, of course, just the idea of it. So we'd have to hope that it is a leverage play. But for those of you listening who don't know, right, the Bears purchased the former Arlington International Racecourse property for $197.2 million in 2023. They have planned a $5 billion mixed-use development with a new dome stadium. It was supposed to include restaurants and all type of stuff, fellas. So,
but when you
and things of that nature.
When you throw that number out there, what was it? $193 million.
$197.2 million.
So basically, almost $200 million, and then to say, "Yeah, we might not use it.
We might not even do this." Yeah, got to be some type of leverage. Got to be some type of a trick to it, or otherwise, I wouldn't be too surprised. Chicago's not. They're not a new. They're not a new gang to making poor money decisions. I'll say that. From the Bulls to the Bears, et cetera. So pretty sure they just sell it back, or whatever the case may be. But
and I think one thing we can't forget, and I think a lot of Bears fans do forget this, unless you really know your football. The McCaskies, and I mean this in no disrespect to them, are the poorest football owners, NFL owners in the league. Let's just be honest there. They're not multi-billionaires like some of these owners are that can afford to put their own money in the team. They constantly have to go to the city they're in and say, hey, we need help. But in that respect, I do not see the McCaskies selling this team anytime soon.
And also, you got to put it into perspective too. Even though they may be the poorest NFL team, like you just said. Look at how we're doing right now.
True.
In this case, money isn't a factor in their personal pockets.
Right.
That is up on the salary cap. And so far, what we've seen from the Bears this year, 10-4, potentially 11-4, if we can, knock on wood, beat the Packers.
Right.
What is
so confused?
I was about to say that was Matt, knocking on wood because you just said that, man.
What's most confusing to me is that it says that the lease isn't up till 2033. So
right.
What exactly is the rush anyway right now?
I think it's just getting it built. So when the lease is up at Soldier Field, they can just up and move.
Okay.
And one thing I have to say that really I have to ask, and I'm just going to go around to all you guys. How do you think former Bears players, and because this is a storied franchise in the NFL, let's not forget that. It may not be one of the best these past couple of years, but it is a storied franchise. How do you think the guys like Devin Hester, Brian Urlacher, Dan Hampton, Mike, how do you think these guys feel about them possibly making this big move?
I think that first off, they need to understand, and they do very well playing in the NFL for as long as they did, that this is a business. And as we said, the stadium quality isn't always the best. A lot of players have had, shown their grievances against the playing conditions there, the tight conditions that might exist there, locker room facilities, etc. But it would hurt. I think they would be hurt to see them leave Soldier Field. I think the former players and those associated with the organization would have wanted them to stay on the lakefront, but I don't think them moving is necessarily the biggest issue that people have with this, including former players. I think it is the behind-the-scenes maneuvering of everything, and the fact that this has been dragged out and almost put on display in public theater for us to watch unfold, this political battle between an organization and their city, local and state officials. I think that is the most thing that they would find disrespectful and disheartening and the most upset about within this whole situation.
Right. And one thing I've never said before, but I've told Matt and I've told Adam, and I don't think I've told Lee yet, I am actually a little distantly related to an 85 Bear, the third string quarterback. If people out there, if you do know your Chicago Bears, you do know that was Mike Tomczak. He's actually my third cousin.
That's awesome. Wow.
So
That is cool.
To say that I'm related to an 85 Bear, and he's never met me, I never met him, but hopefully one day I can meet him. But he's also one of those guys you have to think too. Me being related, like, oh, this has always been my team. I don't want to see them leave Chicago. I don't want to be rooting for the Indiana Bears or the Gary Bears. And I'm like,
We heard
that doesn't even sound good.
We've heard of the Care Bears. Get ready for the Care Bears.
But I mean, I think that's the whole thing. Is like, you're gonna piss off your entire fan base,
and they won't have an excuse, and they won't have an excuse for it because other mayors have already offered pitches. Don't know if you guys know, but Naperville reached out, Waukegan reached out, Aurora reached out, Richton Park, and Country Club Hills.
Nice.
They've all made pitches to lure the team. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, technically, I think like more interested side will probably be maybe Aurora, maybe a Country Club Hills will probably show some type of promise as far as like Aurora being fruitful and Country Club being fruitful in location. But you know, Naperville obviously having the funds to handle that. I can see it definitely be more of it would attract more people too. It's definitely more of a tourist spot than downtown Chicago or anything of that nature. So no, it's going to be interesting to see what they do go with, but they won't have an excuse if they do leave the city. So many, these are all nice neighborhoods, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I was going to go into like personal,
yeah, your person,
yeah. It hits all of us personally.
reasons why I wouldn't want to go to these places to watch it, right?
Yeah.
But
I have
at the end of the day, business is business, as Matt said. When it comes down to the nitty gritty, I'm sure they'll make the right decision.
All right, I have a
Country Club Hills here.
couple questions left for you guys. My first one will be, how do you think the current players, being Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, and these guys in the locker, even though it probably won't affect them by the time the move happens, how do you think? Do you think this is in the back of their heads? Like, oh my God, the fan base is thinking about this. Is it going to be in their back of their head Saturday? Like,
No.
you know,
No.
The-
Not at all. In the slides, but don't even know if they'll be here next year or you know what I mean, whatever.
you know, and I had the same thought. You know, I just wanted to kick it around to you guys. Matt, do you have any, thoughts on that?
I mean, I think I think it's background noise. It's in the same light as if somebody was, talking about trade rumors or talking about off the field issues. It's a distraction at the end of the day, and they have much more pressing things to worry about currently. And as far as they know, for the next however long, they're going to be playing at Soldier Field for as long as they're Bears. But as Lee said, they might not even be on the team next year, some people. So I think they're more so worried about, we're going to Hallis Hall, we're practicing, and we're going to the stadium on Sunday to play, or Saturday in this case.
And people are really excited that we have this 10-4 record. So, and also the stadium talks. That's a off-season issue,
and it really should be. And it begs the question: why did Kevin Warren put out this letter 2 days ago and not wait till either after we're done for the year or after we went in the playoffs or whatever? Why did he do it now?
That's a very good one.
Adam, your thoughts first, and we'll go around. We'll do Adam, Matt, then we'll go to Lee.
Yeah.
Man, Warren had one job, and what is he doing? Fumbling the bag. We hired him out of the Big Ten as the former commissioner to get us a stadium deal, and what has he done? Fumble the bag every time, saying, "Hey, we're doing this place. We're doing this place now. We're doing this place now." It's nothing new. We've heard this time and time again. When will the results show? When will we actually put the shovels in the ground and start building?
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, the historical landmark for Soldier Field got taken out in 2006?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it did. 2006, they got their historical landmark removed.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, your thoughts on that whole thing there?
Yeah, it seems like petty political drama to take away from the fact that the Bears are in such a great stretch right now under a new head coach and a young quarterback. This definitely seems to be, in my opinion, it's a very selfish move in the sense that it is positioning for sympathy, positioning for just to get back at the state and the people that Warren's felt has wronged him. And I think that he's putting the Bears in a position that they don't need this right now, and it is an off-season issue. And I think it really truly shows where priorities lie in his mind, whether it's the football team itself or is it this thing that he's failing to accomplish. Lee, what do you think?
I was about to say, good thoughts on that, Matt. I mean, honestly, I think he should have waited till after the season to do this whole thing. But Lee?
No, definitely. I would have to agree.
I mean, it's annoying to say that, just to put it lightly. This has been just an annoying topic that has dragged on, and it just keeps going up and down and up and down. And the other thing about all this is that if they're not going to get funds from the state, if they're not going to get funds from JV Pritzker, how are they going to pay for it? Are they going to just beg the public for the taxpayer money?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what a
I
lot
think
of people
that's
have done.
where they're heading. But Matt, you were
that's what a lot of teams do. They will ask, and I think that there's been a lot of generous offers from the Bears organization themselves to pay for a large portion. And, the whole how stadiums are funded is a completely different issue that I think is kind of whack, in my opinion, on how these stadiums are drawn from public funds. But I think that, with the negotiation and the compromises that need to be set, I think there needs to be a lot more reconsidering going on both sides.
All right. Well, that was our thoughts on this whole Chicago stadium plan. And in my opinion, don't move this team. That's my whole thing on this.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much once again for listening and joining into our show here on the Donlee Sports Talk Show. We will be back next week. And special thanks to Adam for running our cameras today. Andrew, third show down, first week down. Very happy to have him here on the show with us. Let's go around, fellas. Where can the people find you? Adam, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at slim_SHNADY. That is slim_Schnady.
Lee, let the people know.
I'm live and in my prime on BROGEODI on all platforms.
All right, you can find me on Instagram at TrippyMighty. You can also find me on Facebook at my name, Andrew Scheid. And you can also catch me Monday nights on WRMN 1410 a.m. on Big Top Sports with yours truly, Derek Geyer.
Fantastic. And for me, it's Matt_D14 on Twitter and TikTok. Thank you very much once again to everybody for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your night, and we will see you later.
See you later.
Good.